We've set a challenge for 2 English teachers from Acklam Burley School in North London. Right now, they've no idea where we're taking them, or that by 2 p.m. this afternoon, they'll need to be ready to teach their Year 7 class Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
I would doubt that they've ever studied a whole play, and I'm not sure how much drama they would have done, so this will be a really good opportunity for them to get stuck in role, I hope.
Our 2 teachers are Sarah Mark, an ex-actor. She's been teaching English for 3 years. And her colleague, Lewis Rolfe, a graduate trainee. He's on placement at Acklam Burley and has hardly any experience teaching drama.
Renfield. Not apprehensive, but I'm guessing that there is going to be a fair degree of spontaneity on the day as to how we put our heads together and work it out.
I've got a drama background, so I think my confidence is kind of getting kids up and moving. For him to get students up, maybe not something that he's always so keen to do.
Come, he is here, master, hear me.
Mostly we're sitting down writing or reading.
You read or you just write.
It's a little bit boring.
To help them find inspiration for the lesson, we're taking them to Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. Here, both teachers will find their acting and drama skills put to the test when they take part in a drama workshop with actor Yolanda Vasquez.
2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now this haka has got a nonsense rhyme that goes with it, and the rhyme is huta. Huta.
And on the Globe stage, they'll find a box containing 4 resources specially chosen by experts. These will be the vital ingredients for their lesson.
It's a hoodie, brilliant.
Perfect.
It's 8:30 a.m. and our 2 teachers are travelling across London. They've got no idea where they're going or the topic of the lesson they're being asked to teach.
Okay, we're going towards King's Cross.
I don't know, maybe a gallery.
And maybe the British Library. We're near the British Library. It's quite scary to not knowing anything about it. Oh, it is the Globe. I've been there. Oh, it's here, duh. Oh my God. Oh.
They may be beginning to get an inkling that their lesson will be something to do with Shakespeare, but there's still plenty of surprises waiting for them in the box, and actor Yolanda has the key.
Hi there. Well, hi Lou, nice to meet you. I'm here to welcome you and give you this key for you to open this box with.
Oh, yeah.
Treasures.
Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. A rose. A football. Oh, I'm loving a football.
Yeah, it could be good.
Yeah, we confiscated it, put it in the football box.
Straight away.
A rose.
And a picture
of a dagger and a knife. And... Oh, God. Oh, it's a hoodie. Brilliant.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, a hoodie. A knife. Let's just check. There's nothing else. Oh, no, there's more.
CD as well.
A DVD. Watch me. Watch me.
Right, okay.
I tell you what, let's go and have a look at the DVD, and then it'll tell us what it's about.
Yeah, okay.
The DVD holds some vital tips from the experts who've chosen the resources. The hoodie and the football come from English and cultural commentator Professor Richard Shoke.
Well, you would think that the football is the last object you would want to teach Romeo and Juliet. Obviously, it's anachronistic, doesn't appear anywhere in the play. But I think the link is that football and all sports, like language, have in common rules. If you want to be good in language, such as poetic language and Shakespeare's verse, and you want to be good at playing a sport, football or any other, you have to be able to master the rules. Now take the scene in Act 1, Scene 4, when Romeo and Juliet meet for the first time at Capulet's ball. In that lovely scene that leads up to their first kiss, the dialogue is actually a poem. What is Shakespeare telling us? He's saying that this particular kind of highly formal technical language is actually uniting the lovers. The characters relate to each other in the same way that the words relate to each other. So right away in the first act of the play, Shakespeare is telling us that language is the key to unlock the depths of feeling and relationships. Our other object for the play, perhaps a bit more predictable, is the infamous hoodie. Of course, these days a symbol, an icon for gang culture. Well, just as gangs have their own distinctive emblematic wardrobe, like the hoodie with a particular badge or lettering, a particular color or size, you might want to do the same thing in the play, so that the very costume becomes an emblem for families and affiliations and a way of distinguishing one faction from another. And there's also a deeper connection, which is that the hood, the part we can't see very much here, the hood is actually the ancient emblem for death, the hood of the Grim Reaper, which of course the spirit of death, the spectre of death, haunts Romeo and Juliet from start to finish. So in a surprising way, the hoodie is helping us to tap into a deeper theme in Romeo and Juliet.
Once we had the Romeo and Juliet context, I understood the kind of significance of gang-related warfare and hostility in modern-day football fans. What I didn't think about was that kind of concept of using the ball to actually mirror the rhythm of Shakespeare's language. And I think that was a really interesting idea, and it probably wasn't something I would have picked up on myself.
The hoodie was really interesting. The whole concept of the hoodie and linking the hood itself to death was fascinating and really interesting in terms of what we associate with hoodies today.
The rose and the picture of a dagger have been chosen by theatre director Bill Buckhurst, who's currently rehearsing Romeo and Juliet.
The first object I've chosen is a dagger. Maybe not the most original object, but I think hugely important in several different ways. Firstly, obviously, as a literal object in the play, Juliet kills herself with the dagger. It's a pretty gruesome, horrible way to die, I imagine. I think the real thing is scary. Of course, it's a completely impractical thing to bring into school, but to maybe talk to the students with a picture there to really think about the reality of the situation. That there's a young woman who produces a knife and stabs herself to death. Just kind of, I've talked to the actors a lot about that. When you really sit down and think about that as an image, it's ghastly. I think more importantly, though, with the knife, a symbolic way in terms of thinking about the language. Shakespeare uses language very often like a weapon, really, in this play. If you look at the very first scene, the way that the Montagues and Capulets talk to each other, using these very short, spiky words, bite, thumb, you, sir, all these tiny little words, which are extremely different to kind of the poetry of the lovers. I think, another image which I've been thinking about a lot is the rose. I mean, kind of the opposite object to a knife. And that's interesting, thinking about the opposites in this play, I think. It's a bit of a cliche for a sort of romantic sort of image, but actually, if you really look at what a rose is, it's quite an interesting object because you've got this very beautiful flower at the end, but as you go down the stem, I mean, you've got thorns, which if you pick it up in the wrong way will prick you, will draw blood, will hurt. And I think that's rather a nice sort of way to think about this relationship of Romeo and Juliet, or indeed maybe any relationship. It's not all roses. It's, that actually love can be very painful and hurtful and confusing and full of opposites. And Shakespeare's play, Romeo and Juliet, is full of the language of opposite.
When he said about Juliet, the horrors of Juliet actually choosing to kill herself, that made me stop and think, okay, that's a bit of the play that we just kind of accept because Romeo and Juliet kill themselves, we know that. So that was quite interesting to hear him sort of take that bit and emphasise the horrors of that.
In the same way the rose kind of made sense, the kind of love-hate divide, and that kind of theme came out straight away.
The other thing he said about the knife, which was relating it back to the language, was again really interesting, that language can hurt, and the way Shakespeare writes those insults, short, sharp thrusts of nastiness, can definitely, it can be represented in the dagger.
To help them plan their lesson further, actor Yolanda Vasquez is taking a drama workshop with them, looking at characterisation.
We're going to walk a little bit about the room. We're going to feel a little bit daft, but we're going to walk.
But Lewis is looking a bit nervous.
There's 4 archetypes. There's the sovereign,
Yep.
the warrior, the carer, and the joker, sometimes known as the wizard or the trickster. They all have a physical shape. We have to get them into our bodies first before we can begin to think and talk about them.
I'm certainly not an experienced actor. I don't have. I auditioned for a friend's play once and it went horribly badly, and I'm certainly not a good actor.
Are you walking slower or faster than before as the sovereign? Are you looking at people? Do you want to look people straight in the face, or above or below?
I mean, I'm used to doing that sort of thing, but I think it's not necessarily Lou's favourite kind of way to pass an hour, and I think that neither of us felt self-conscious. I loved it.
Whether you want to, at any given moment, look at each other or ignore each other, and then
Have at thee, boy.
have at thee, boy. Have at thee, boy. Very good.
Get me to St. Peter's Church.
Good Father, I beseech you.
Get me to St. Peter's Church.
Good Father, I beseech you.
And stop. Fantastic. Really good.
Clock struck 9 when I did send the nurse. Yolanda was actually really good, making us feel fairly comfortable. I mean, considering some of the things she had us doing, I didn't feel awkward about it, and she had a really good way of kind of communicating ideas to us.
And just make a statue of something that you adore.
Okay. I thought the idea of the sort of freeze frame stuff was really good, kind of it becoming an emotion. Your kind of mid-dance. Perfect.
Lovely, fantastic, great. Well, now remember that. B.
And then when we did the insulting, the cussing, the idea of the two warring groups using the insults, I think that would work really well in a lesson.
You're going to say to that family, do you bite your thumb at me, sir?
Okay.
Okay, and then you're going to come out of that gesture and just say back, no, sir, but I bite my thumb, sir. 1, 2, 3.
Do you bite your thumb at me, sir?
No, sir, but I bite my thumb, sir.
Do you bite your thumb at me, sir?
No, sir, but I bite my thumb, sir.
Fantastic. Okay, and I'm going to leave that.
It gives you enthusiasm back. It gives you to work with somebody else who's outside the field of teaching, but within the field of Shakespeare, who has real enthusiasm and skill and knowledge from a different perspective, is lovely, because you get to share ideas. You see someone else use the same text that you use to teach at GCSE and approach it in a completely different way.
They're off back to school to get ready for their lesson, and it seems Lewis has some newfound confidence.
We should sort of base it on a kind of dramatic performance of a text as far as possible. I think meeting Yolanda was really useful for us, and she made me feel fairly kind of comfortable doing those things and doing the exercises that she put in front of us, and that made me feel kind of more confident about teaching it to students.
In just over an hour, they'll need to be ready to teach Romeo and Juliet to a class of Shakespeare novices, and it's Sarah who's beginning to show nerves.
To go into a class that haven't studied Shakespeare, that haven't studied Romeo and Juliet, and go straight into a discussion on the rules of poetic verse is probably a bit of a turn-off. I don't think it's...